Hey, what's up? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Ask That Podcast on YouTube. What I got here, this is Cerebus bi-weekly issue 3? Pretty sure it's issue. Yeah, it's issue 3. All right. What this was is, you see, it's even got a publication date. December 30th, 1988. This is, by this time, I think the first couple of phone books were out, but I don't think he started, Cerebus, Dave Sim, sorry. I'm talking like everybody knows what Cerebus. Cerebus was an independent comic from back in the late 70s. It was probably one of the big ones. It was like that, and ElfQuest were the big ones. And it's about this little aardvark here. It started off as a parody of Barry Windsor Smith's Conan comics. And Dave Sim, the creator, I want to say about a year into it, realized he had a whole story plotted out. Or he says he had a whole story plotted out. There's people that don't believe him. Some do. 300 issues. He was going to write and draw every bit of it. He wrote and drew 90% of it. The backgrounds were done by this guy called Gerhard. And it went from being just a simple parody of barbarian comics to being this. It's hard to describe. Now, I've not read all of Cerebus. I've probably read the first 100 or so issues. It's one of those comics that, I always heard about for years, would see in the comic shop, would pick them up here and there, but it was one of those you really could just jump in the middle of it. You kind of had to start at the beginning. Well, at least start with issue 26. Well, at this time, Sim's like, wait a minute, these issues are hard to find. He wanted the story accessible to people. So he started every 2 weeks, and one of the early issues got reprinted, and they started in order. Now, this issue here, issue 3, this was originally from 78. So 10 years later, 88, this reprinted. I found this, if I'm remembering right, in my local comic shop. In their cheap bins. That would be Heroes Haven in Brookhaven, Mississippi. Right off the main drag, off the boulevard, like a couple blocks off. It's right by the dirt cheap. They got decent cheap bins. Their cheap bins are fairly decent. And I'm honest, looking at the people that come in to look at comics there, probably nobody else would have bought this. So I was like, all right, I'll take a chance on this now. And what we get here is, it's pretty much 100%, reprint, just with news. And look, circulation was very tiny, 28,000. And another thing about it, some of these Cerebus bi-weeklies actually have a little value to them, because I'll show you later on why. All right, so we get this letter, and this is from Denny Lobet. I'm guessing that's how you say that. Lubert. It's a French-sounding name, and I'm not real good with French, even though I grew up in Cajun country pretty much. Or right outside Cajun country. It's just a letter talking about different stuff. And it says, the inside front cover of Cerebus 1 to 70 feature. A note from the publisher written by Denny Lobert. Dave Sim and Denny Lobert were married from October 6, 1978 to August 20th, 1983. Denny Lobert currently resides in Long Beach, California as the owner and publisher of Renegade Press. And then we get this. This introduction page was written for Swords of Cerebus, 6 volumes of which published reprint in Cerebus 1 through 25 was written in 1981. And then we get on to, this is the Song of Red Sophia. And Red Sophia is basically, and Dave Sim explains here, he was wanting to do a tribute to Frank Thorne, who's best known for Red Sonja, the comic version of Red Sonja, which is supposedly based on a Robert E. Howard character, and it's really kind of sort of not. This, early Cerebus, issue 3, it was bi-monthly then. Really nice art, really, for the time frame. And I like how Cerebus stays looking the same, but Red Sophia here really, really, really looks like Frank Thorne drew her. And I don't know how long Red Sophia stayed in the book. I have not read the entire thing. I know how it ends. Well, that's partially because Dave Sim did say early on, I think it's for issue 100, that the book was going to end when Cerebus died. And there's an issue in there where he gets told by a soothsayer, fortune teller, you're going to die alone and hated by everyone, or something to that effect, and that's what happened. Just really nice art. And he kind of parodied different things in the comics that were popular, like the Roach character. It was a superhero style character. It was like Wolverine when Wolverine was popular. It was Moon Roach when Moon Knight was popular. He had a parody of Morpheus from the Sandman comic. And here, just all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, Dave Sim's caused some controversy. He went a little nutty there for a while, probably still is, and got really deep and he created kind of his own version of Christianity and blames all the bad stuff that's ever happened to man on women. Which, if you read the Bible, they kind of say that in there, Eve's the one that ate the apple and caused all the evil. As you know, I've said before, I'm not a very religious person, but yeah, really nice art. And like I said, the first 25 issues is just basically a sword and sorcery comic parody of Barry Windsor Smith Conan. Really nice artwork. I don't remember there being many ads in the issues I've picked up, and I've got some more issues. I got to dig them out of the actual series, not this bi-weekly thing. I grabbed this because I was like, oh, Red Sophia, I'll check it out. But the thing I think Cerebus was mostly for is it had a very involved letters page, like real long, like 10 pages. Sometimes there'd be 10, 15 pages of letters. It kind of like if for modern day audience, and I think he's still doing it. Eric Larson, Savage Dragon, always has a pile of letter pages. We get this little epilogue, and then we get the map of Cerebus world was designed by Michael Lobet, Denny's brother, who created all the places names as well. Appeared in Cerebus number 3 through 10. A map, Aardvarkian age. There's the map. Well, it's very Conan-like. And then we get even a reprint of the letters page, which in issue 3, there's not that many letters because by the time the issue was published, probably the people had read the first issue, maybe the first 2. The early issues of Cerebus are really hard to come by in first prints. Like the first issue, print one was tiny. Like, was it 10, 20,000? And then we get a preview page is appeared on the inside back cover of Cerebus number 3. Next issue, Death's Dark Tread. And this is why some of these have some value. The single page, beginning with Cerebus Bi-Weekly for February 10th, 1989. This page will feature the single page, a one-page comic strip by, we hope, a different writer-artist or writer and artist each issue. We invite contributions, but please send only photocopies of your work, as no submission will be returned, and make sure it's proportional to the 6x9 page size. You will be notified by genuine Aardvark Venahilm form letter if your strip has been accepted for publication or rejected. The acceptance form letter comes complete with a check so you can tell them apart. Payment is $150 on acceptance. Only single page strips, no continuing features will be considered for publication. Self-publishing cartoonists will be given preferential consideration, and contributors are invited to use the space at the bottom of their page to plug their publications and or company. It's requested that the words "a single page" appear somewhere in or around the strip. Send single page submissions to the single page, blah, 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 Kitchener, Ontario. If I'm remembering right, I think it is in one of these where stuff like Jeff Smith's Bone first appeared. It might have been in the regular service, but I think it was in something this. Then we get an advertisement for Now and Then Books, which is probably the comic shop Sim went to back then. And then we get, oh shit! Dave Sim Cerebus, limited quantities, first printing available. Available now. Reprints Cerebus 1 through 25 for $27 plus $2.50 postage. Box of 16 books. $350. We pay UPS on all box orders. Okay, so he did do that one first, and that caught him some shit from the main distributors because he wasn't distributing this reprint book through them. It was only available directly from Dave Sim. What else we got? We got High Society, limited quantities of second printing available. Church and State. And that would how High Society is 26 through 50 and Church and State is 52 through 80. Some of the issues are not reprinted. Were not reprinted in the phone books. I don't really know why. I've never looked into it that heavily, but I know there was a Cerebus Zero that came out sometime in the 90s boom that reprinted all the issues that were not. And then available now. Reprints Cerebus 81 through 111. Church and State Book 2. Then on the back cover, the original back cover of Cerebus number 3. Look, it lists all the old distributors. In the Eastern USC, Gate Distributors. Coney Island Station. In Canada, Now and Then Books. And the thing about it, these were only $1.25. And now the cheap man, I paid less than cover price for it. But just a really cool little comic. Anybody out there ever read Cerebus? Yeah. I know it's kind of, because of his views, a lot of people dropped it. Jeff Smith challenged him to a fight, if I'm remembering right. All kinds of wackiness happening. He's very particular about stuff. The comic podcast, Comic Geek Speak, was having him come on. They read each phone book, and I think they started with the second one. I think they skipped the first 25 issues. He'd come on and discuss it, and then something happened, and he just made demands on them. They were not going to agree to it, and they never did any more of it. It was entertaining. That's how I learned a lot about, because like I said, I've read scattered issues. I've read Skater issues within the first like 100 issue run. I would love if Dave Sim offered something like, all 300 issues, digital copies, for X amount of dollars. I would, I could see myself dropping $200 for that just to read this whole thing. Because as far as I know, no other comic out there has done this. 300 fucking issues. That's a lot. I mean, in superhero stuff, you got Kirby and Lee's Fantastic Four run. You got Brian Michael Bendis and was it Mark Bagley's Ultimate Spider-Man run. And then, the only thing close to that is that I know of, and it's probably longer, besides that one Image X issue, is Eric Larson Savage Dragon. But for non-super stuff, this is the only one I know like this, where you had the same creator on it from beginning to end. And according to Dave Sim, he's set up to where once he dies and Gerhardt dies, books going into the public domain. Dave Sim's not a young guy anymore, so it might not be that long. But I hope you enjoyed that little history about some independent comics there and all that shit. And if you did, remember, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for comments. What was the first black and white comic you read? Cerebus definitely one of my first black and white. My first black and white would probably be like, you could consider Mad Magazine a comic. It was magazine size, of course, by then. It'd be that or probably like a Savage Sword of Conan, one of those. I hope you enjoyed it. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.